My dad will never let my mom divorce him, and his control is destroying our whole family slowly. I always thought family meant love and support, but with my dad, it's been nothing but fear and control breaking us apart every single day. I'm 17. That number should mean something different. Freedom, maybe. Youth possibility. Instead, it feels like a prison sentence. Every morning I wake up, it's like I'm already bracing for an earthquake that hasn't happened yet. The tension in our house is like a string pulled so tight one breath might snap it. My dad has always been the epicenter of that tension. From the outside, I'm sure our family looks like any other. A dad, a mom, 3 kids, a middle-class home that creaks a little when it's windy. But inside, it's a war zone, not with broken furniture or bullet holes, but with shattered spirits, broken voices and wounds no one else can see. My parents should have never gotten married. That much is clear now. Maybe it was wrong from the beginning. Maybe they saw the red flags and chose to ignore them. Or maybe love really does make people blind. I was too young to know when it all started. But what I do know, what I've seen with my own eyes, is the way my father slowly destroyed my mother from the inside out. He never needed fists to do it, though he used those too. No, his true weapons were words: silence, guilt, control. And fear, always fear. He'd find something, anything, to be angry about. A dirty dish, a misplaced sock, a tone of voice he didn't like. Once he flipped the entire house upside down because my mom had saved his name on WhatsApp without one of the letters. That was enough for a full-blown meltdown. Screaming, slamming, accusations, berating her like she had deliberately disrespected him. That's how fragile his ego is. And how dangerous. My mother, God, she tried. She's tried to leave him more times than I can count. Every time he pulls her back in with the same promises. I'll change. I'll get help. I can't live without you. And she believes him. Or maybe she doesn't, but she has no choice. She has 3 kids, no job, no support. And every time she takes a step toward freedom, he's there to chain her back down. When I was younger, I used to think that maybe he did love her. That maybe his anger came from somewhere deep and hurt he didn't know how to deal with. But now I know better. My father doesn't love anyone but himself. He's a narcissist, maybe bipolar, undiagnosed, and untreated. He's emotionally unstable, manipulative, and terrifying. One moment he's yelling at you like you're the scum of the earth. The next he's offering to buy you something like that will erase the pain. It's maddening, confusing. And it's been this way for years. I have 2 younger siblings. They're still so small. Still learning how to exist in this house, where everything depends on the weather of our father's moods. We've learned to walk quietly, to hide our laughter, to speak in whispers. We've learned to disappear when he starts pacing. When the shouting starts, we scatter like roaches when the light flips on. Not because we're cowards, but because we've been taught that any attention from him can be dangerous. The worst part is he's not always horrible. That's what makes it even more sickening. Sometimes he'll play the role of the doting dad. He'll make breakfast. He'll ask about school. He'll crack jokes. And for a moment, just a moment, it feels normal, safe. But then without warning, he flips, like a switch. And all that warmth turns cold. The jokes turn to criticism. The questions become interrogations. The smiles are gone, and in their place is the monster. It's mental whiplash. And through all of it, I've watched my mother shrink. She used to be vibrant. She used to sing while doing the dishes, hum when she cooked. She used to have this spark in her eyes. That's all gone now. She's hollow. Her eyes are always tired. Her voice when she speaks is flat. She's just surviving, day by day, and sometimes not even that. I've heard her cry in the bathroom at night when she thinks we're all asleep. I've heard her pray to die. No one should want to die just to escape their husband. And me, I'm stuck between rage and helplessness. I want to protect her. I want to fight him. I've tried. Every time I stand up to him, he turns that anger onto me. He threatens me. He shoved me before, spit in my face, told me I was a mistake, but I'd take 1,000 punches if it meant he'd stop hurting her. I hate him. Not just for what he's done, but for what he's made us all become. I'm 17 and I feel like I'm 50. I can't focus on school, can't think straight. I'm supposed to be preparing for exams that will shape my future, and all I can think about is whether he's going to blow up again tonight, whether my mom is going to make it another day. I live in fear, not of monsters under my bed, but of the man sleeping in the room down the hall. I'm writing this because I don't know what else to do. Because if I don't let this out, I might explode. There's no one in my life who can help. The adults who should have stepped in, uncles, aunts, even grandparents, they've all failed us. Or they're too scared of him. Or they think he's some kind of untouchable god. Meanwhile, we're stuck here, drowning. I feel like I'm screaming underwater, and no one hears me. Sometimes I wonder if my mom ever really loved him. She says she did. Back in the beginning, she tells me stories about how they met young, full of dreams. She was barely out of college, soft-spoken, but hopeful. He was charismatic, bold, and full of promises, the kind of man who knew how to charm a room, who made everyone laugh and feel like they mattered. He knew exactly what to say to make a woman feel seen. But what he really did was watch. Not in a romantic way, in a calculating, careful way, studying every crack, every insecurity, every longing she had. And then he used it all to become whatever she needed him to be. At first, that's how predators work. She told me once quietly, like she was confessing a crime, that she had doubts even before the wedding, that something about the way he lost his temper scared her, that his eyes would glaze over sometimes like he wasn't fully present, that his jokes would cut a little too deep. But by then, she was already in too deep. Everyone loved him, her parents, her friends. He'd wrapped them all around his finger. So she buried her doubts and put on the dress. That was the first time she betrayed herself. Not the last. The wedding was picture perfect. Everyone smiled. The photos are still on the wall, mocking us. She looked so radiant in them. He looked so proud. You'd never know that underneath that veil was a woman already starting to crumble. It didn't take long for things to unravel. The honeymoon was short. Not just in days, but in tenderness. He started small. A sarcastic comment here. A passive-aggressive jab there. Jealousy disguised as passion. Control disguised as care. He didn't want her going out with friends because I miss you too much when you're gone. He didn't like how she dressed because I don't want other men looking at you like that. And when she tried to push back, he made her feel guilty. Like it was her fault for making him feel insecure. Like he was the victim, and she needed to change. Over time, she stopped arguing. It was easier to just go along, to keep the peace. That's how abuse works. It doesn't always show up as bruises. Sometimes it's 1,000 little silences, 1,000 tiny concessions. And before you know it, you're gone. A shell of who you used to be. When I was born, she told me she thought maybe things would get better, that becoming a father would change him, give him purpose, make him softer. For a while he did. He held me in his arms like I was the only thing that mattered. He even cried when I said Dada for the first time. And for a brief moment, she let herself believe she'd made the right choice. But the darkness came back, and it came back worse. Because now he had more power, more leverage. He didn't just control her, he controlled our lives. And every time she tried to leave, he would threaten to take us. Or worse, say, we wouldn't survive without him. You're nothing without me, he'd sneer. You want to live in a shelter with 3 kids? Go ahead, let's see how long you last. And every time she stayed. I didn't understand it when I was little. I used to cry and ask her, why don't we just leave Mom? And she would say, because it's not that simple, baby. I hated that answer. I thought she was weak. But now, at 17, I understand. He had destroyed every safety net she might have had, isolated her, turned her family against her with lies, kept her financially dependent and emotionally shattered. He built a cage around her and convinced the world it was her palace. But even in that cage, she tried. God, she tried so hard to give us a normal life. She would read us stories at night with a trembling voice and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She'd cook meals she had no appetite for. She'd braid my sister's hair with fingers that shook from anxiety. She made birthdays feel like magic even though we knew he might ruin the day if we laughed too loudly. She fought a war inside herself every day. The part of her that wanted to survive, and the part that was too tired to keep fighting. She's told me before that she dreams of packing a bag and disappearing in the night, just taking us and vanishing. A new city, new names, a tiny apartment where we'd be broke but free. She said she used to make lists of what to pack, where to go, who might help. But the lists always stayed in her drawer, never acted on. Because for every dream of escape, there was a fear of failure, of retaliation, of being alone. And now she's just tired. worn down to her bones. She doesn't dream anymore. She just survives. I've tried to talk to her about it, begged her to leave. I've told her that I'll work, that we'll be okay. But she always says the same thing. It's not you I don't believe in. It's the world. Because the world has failed her again and again. No one sees what happens behind closed doors. And even if they do, they look away. Our relatives useless, afraid. Some of them even admire him, his confidence, his authority. They think his temper is just part of being a strong man. They don't see the bruises. They don't hear the sobs. They don't know what it's like to tiptoe past your own father like he's a bomb that could go off at any second. And I feel like I'm living in two realities. One where I'm a student trying to pass exams and plan for a future, and one where I'm a soldier watching over my mother every night preparing for the next battle. I've grown up in a house where love is twisted, where pain is normal, and where silence is the loudest sound of all. Sometimes I ask myself if I'm destined to become like him, if all this rot lives inside me too. But then I look at my mom, at how she still finds a way to smile at my little brother, how she still whispers I love you even when her voice is hoarse from crying. And I think, no, I won't be like him. I can't. Every morning in our house feels like waking up on a battlefield after the bombs have stopped. But you're not sure if another one is coming. It's quiet, but not peaceful. The silence feels heavy, like the air itself is holding its breath, waiting to see what kind of mood he is in. Because the mood of my father decides everything. If he's in a good mood, the sun shines a little brighter. We might get a half smile, maybe even a joke. But if he's in one of those moods, God help us all. You don't breathe too loud. You don't drop anything. You don't speak unless spoken to. And even then, you choose your words like you're in a hostage negotiation. The phrase, walking on eggshells, doesn't even begin to cover it. It's more like walking barefoot on glass, knowing one wrong step will cut you open and no one will come to help. There was a time not long ago when my mom accidentally saved his name in WhatsApp without the last letter. Just a letter. One stupid, tiny letter. It wasn't even intentional, she didn't notice. But when he found out, it was like she had committed treason. He screamed. He ranted. He flipped the house upside down looking for proof that she was talking to another man. He tore through drawers, banged cabinets shut, accused her of cheating, of trying to humiliate him. He raged for hours. Over one missing letter. My siblings. God, they're so young. My brother is 10. My sister just turned 8. They don't even flinch anymore when he yells. That terrifies me more than the yelling itself, because they've gotten used to it. My little brother once asked me, is it always like this in other families too? And I didn't know what to say. How do you explain to a child that no, this isn't normal, that fathers aren't supposed to scream at mothers or throw things across the room or threaten their kids just because the food was 5 minutes late? We live around him, not with him. We adapt like survivors in a jungle. We decode his every expression. If his jaw is clenched, we know to stay out of the living room. If he's quiet for too long, we know something's brewing. If his phone rings and he slams it down, we hide. It's survival instinct. We've all developed it even without realizing. Sometimes I catch myself doing the same thing with other people, watching their tone, their body language, overthinking every word I say. I've become hyper-aware of everything. I can sense a shift in someone's energy from across the room. It's a skill born from fear, a necessary evolution. And the thing is, he isn't always a monster. That's what makes it so confusing. Sometimes he's decent. He'll bring my mom flowers after a blowout. He'll make breakfast on a Sunday. He'll laugh and joke like nothing ever happened. He'll call us his angels and say how lucky he is to have a family like us. And then, like a switch, it's gone. Like the kindness was a costume he forgot to take off before the show ended. I remember once I tried to stand up for my mom. She was crying because he'd accused her of lying about something stupid like forgetting to remind him about a bill. He was in her face, shouting. I snapped. I stepped between them and told him to back off. I was 15, just a kid, but shaking with anger. He looked at me, really looked at me, and then smiled. This cold, dead-eyed smile. Then he leaned in and whispered something so sick, I can't even repeat it. Just this quiet threat, like he was reminding me that no matter how tall I got, I would never be safe from him. I didn't sleep for days after that. That's the thing with him. He knows just how to wound you without leaving a mark. He's mastered the art of psychological warfare. And every time you think you're strong enough to fight back, he reminds you that he's still the king of this castle, the puppeteer holding all the strings. And yet, the outside world doesn't see it. To outsiders, he's a great dad. He pays the bills. He shows up to school events. He gives us gifts on birthdays. People think we're so lucky to have a present father. They don't know that every moment of kindness comes with a price, that nothing is ever truly free in this house. If he does something nice, we have to be grateful enough. If not, he turns cold again. Even my relatives, the men in our family, won't lift a finger. They all say, "That's just how he is," like it's an excuse, like terrorizing your wife and kids is a personality trait. They call him a strong man. They respect him for being the head of the family. But strength isn't loud. It doesn't break things. It doesn't hurt people. That's not strength. That's cowardice dressed up as dominance. What breaks me most is seeing what this has done to my mom. She used to have so much light. She used to sing while doing the dishes. She used to read books. She used to talk to her friends on the phone for hours, laugh until her voice cracked. Now she stares out the window like she's not even there. She forgets things. She barely eats. She doesn't sing anymore. Once I walked in on her praying. She was kneeling on the bathroom floor, whispering so softly I could barely hear her. She wasn't asking for happiness. She was asking for peace, for rest, for an end to the pain. I knew what that meant. I knew she was thinking about dying, and I just stood there frozen. Because I didn't know what to do. I still don't. All I know is that I hate him. Not just for what he's done to her, but for what he's stolen from all of us. Our childhoods, our joy, our sense of safety. I hate how he's turned our home into a war zone. How he's poisoned every holiday, every memory, how he expects us to smile when he's in a good mood like nothing ever happened. But something always happens. That's the truth. Every day in this house is a cycle of tension eruption and fake reconciliation. And we're all just spinning in it, too dizzy and scared to jump off. There's something haunting about watching the strongest person you know slowly fall apart. My mother has always been the glue holding this wreckage of a family together. She's endured years of cruelty, manipulation, and heartbreak, silent, steady, always there for us. I used to think nothing could break her. But now I'm watching her unravel thread by thread, and it's terrifying. She's exhausted. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, but soul tired. The kind that settles in your bones, that changes the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you breathe. Her shoulders are always slumped now. Her eyes are hollow. There's a heaviness in her steps, like she's dragging the weight of all the years she spent trying to survive in a house that never felt like a home. And the worst part, she feels trapped. Completely and utterly trapped. She once tried to leave. I remember it vividly. I was 11. She packed our bags one afternoon. When he was out, told us we were going to Grandma's house, and we all felt this strange excitement, hope. We thought it was over. We thought we were finally going to be free. But then he came home early. I don't know how he found out, or if he just sensed it, but the moment he stepped inside and saw the bags, something in the air shifted. A storm. He didn't yell at first. He just stared at her with this terrifying calmness that was far worse than any rage. Then in a low voice, he asked her where she thought she was going. What followed was a night of screaming, slamming doors, broken plates, and silence afterward. Deafening silence. She unpacked the bags the next morning with trembling hands and eyes that wouldn't meet ours. He had convinced her to stay. Again. That's the cycle. He knows exactly what to say to break her resolve. He promises to change. Says things like, "I need you," or "I'm nothing without you," or the worst one, "You're the reason I'm like this." He makes her feel like she's responsible for his behavior, as if her suffering is the price of keeping the family together. And the irony is, everyone else believes it too. They see her staying and they call it loyalty. They say she's patient, forgiving. They don't see the fear, the shame, the hopelessness that keeps her bound to a man who has stolen everything from her except her heartbeat. But recently, something's changed. She started saying things she never said before. Little things like, "I can't do this anymore," or "I don't want to wake up tomorrow." It's not even the words that scare me. It's the way she says them. Flat, emotionless, like she's already given up. I found her crying in the kitchen last week. I mean, really crying, sobbing, gasping for air. her body shaking so violently I thought she was going to collapse. She was holding one of his shirts, the one he always wears when he's pretending to be a good husband. She clutched it like it was a weapon, and then suddenly threw it into the sink, turned on the tap, and watched it soak. "I hate him," she whispered. "I hate him so much, and I still can't leave." I didn't know what to say. I just held her. That's all I could do. We stood there, soaked in grief and water and pain, and I felt like I was holding a ghost. She's not living anymore, just surviving. And what makes it all worse is that nobody is helping her. None of the so-called men of the family are stepping in. They say things like, "Just be patient," or "Maybe he'll calm down," or "Don't destroy your marriage over small fights." Small fights, as if constant verbal abuse, psychological torture, and the looming threat of physical violence are minor inconveniences. She tried reaching out to an aunt once, begged her for a place to stay, even if just for a night. But my aunt, God bless her misplaced priorities, told her to pray on it. Told her that families stay together no matter what, that divorce would ruin the kids. What they don't understand is that staying is what's ruining us. Every day we lose a little more of her, and I don't know how much more there is left to lose. Last night I found her sitting on the bathroom floor again. Her eyes were red, her hands shaking. She was holding a bottle of pills, not taking them, just holding them, turning them in her hand like she was weighing her options. I didn't say anything. I just sat beside her. We stayed there for what felt like hours, the silence screaming between us. "I don't want to die," she finally said, "but I don't know how to live like this either." And I believed her. I believe she doesn't want to leave us, but she's running out of strength. She's been strong for so long that everyone forgot she might need someone to be strong for her too. That's when I realized something terrifying. If nothing changes, if no one helps her, one day we might wake up and she'll just be gone. And not because she packed her bags and walked out, because she couldn't take another day of it. I can't let that happen. But I'm 17. What can I do? I'm barely holding myself together, juggling school exams and the constant fear that one day I'll come home to the worst-case scenario. My chest is always tight. My mind never stops. I can't focus on anything. I'm scared all the time, angry all the time, and powerless. Powerless to save the one person who gave me life, who raised me, who protected me through everything. Now she's the one who needs saving, and no one is stepping up. There's a moment just after the sun sets when the house feels eerily still, like it's holding its breath. That's when the dread creeps in. When the quiet becomes a warning, not a comfort. That's when we know he's coming home. My siblings and I don't talk during this time. We just move through the house like shadows, making sure the lights are set. How he likes them. The remote is on the coffee table. The dinner is reheated and not too hot, not too cold. We've memorized the rules of survival unspoken but drilled into our bones. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't contradict him. Don't make noise. Don't breathe too loudly. Every night is a gamble. Will he be in a good mood, cracking inappropriate jokes and pretending he's just tired? Or will he slam the door so hard the walls rattle, already seething, already looking for something or someone to lash out at? My mother lives this cycle like a prisoner in her own home, but we're all inmates here. Every sound he makes feels like a loaded weapon. Every look from him feels like a trigger being cocked. Last night was one of the bad ones. It started with him accusing my mom of throwing away one of his jackets, a jacket he hadn't worn in over a year. She calmly told him she hadn't seen it. That was it. Just a gentle denial. But that was enough. He stormed through the house like a rabid animal, yanking drawers open, tearing through the laundry room, yelling, "You throw away my stuff now. Is that what you're doing?" "Huh?" My little brother started crying. He's only 9. He tried to hide under the table like we used to do when we were that age, because that felt like the only safe place left. My sister just froze. She's 12, but she's seen more horror in this house than most adults do in a lifetime. And then he turned on my mom, again. He grabbed her arm, not gently, not accidentally. His fingers left red marks. And he just shouted in her face about how ungrateful she was, how she disrespected him, how she was making him the bad guy in front of his children. I lost it. I didn't even think. I just stepped in between them and shoved him back. I've done it before, but something about last night felt different, more final. "Don't you dare touch her," I said. My voice didn't even sound like mine. It was shaking, but loud. Loud enough to make my siblings flinch. He stared at me like I'd slapped him. And for a moment, I really thought he was going to hit me. Instead, he laughed. That bitter, mean-spirited laugh that tells you he's more entertained by your pain than moved by it. "You think you're a man now," he snarled. "You think you can talk to me like that in my house? You're nothing but a damn parasite I've been feeding your whole life." I could feel the heat rise in my face, the rage, the disgust, the unbearable weight of being told again that my existence is a burden. But I didn't back down. "You don't feed us," I said. "You scare us. You poison everything." I saw something flicker in his eyes. Not guilt, not regret, just pure boiling rage. But he didn't swing. He just stormed out of the room and slammed the door to his study so hard the glass cracked. After he left, my mom sat down on the kitchen floor and cried silently, as if even her sadness needed to be quiet. My siblings huddled beside her. I didn't know what to do. I just stood there, useless. I've never hated someone as much as I hate him. Not just for what he's done, but for what he's made us become. For the silence he's forced on us. For the fear we carry every single day. For how he's stolen our childhood, our peace, our mother's light. People always ask, why doesn't she just leave? But they don't understand what it means to live with someone like him. It's not just about walking out the door. It's about untangling years of financial control, emotional manipulation, shame, and fear. He's made sure she has nothing, no savings, no friends who would take her in, no job she could just fall back on. He's isolated her, and she's terrified. Not just of what he might do if she leaves, but of what might happen to us. She doesn't want to uproot our lives, make us homeless, or turn us into a broken family as society sees it. But we're already broken. Every minute we spend in this house, we lose a little more of ourselves. And I've started thinking dark things again. Things I hate myself for. Like how easy it would be if he just wasn't here. If something happened to him. An accident, a heart attack, anything. I know that's wrong. I know it makes me sound just like him. But when you're drowning and someone is holding your head underwater, you start fantasizing about how to make it stop. The thing is, I don't want revenge. I want peace. I want to see my mother smile and know it's real. I want my siblings to sleep without fear. I want to wake up and not feel like my chest is going to explode from the anxiety of facing another day under his thumb. But peace feels like a fantasy now, because no one is helping us. Not the family, not the community, not the system. They all see him as this charming, funny man when he's outside. They think we're exaggerating, overreacting. He's just strict, they say. Fathers are like that sometimes. No, fathers are not like this. Fathers protect, they don't destroy. So here we are. No way out, no help. Just another night, another door slam, another scream down the hallway. I don't know how long we can live like this, but something has to change. Because if it doesn't, someone's not going to make it out alive. I remember the night it finally happened, not with a bang, but with a shiver. It was raining. Not the soft, cleansing kind of rain, but a heavy, angry downpour that felt like the sky itself was grieving with us. We had just finished dinner, a quiet meal filled with unspoken tension. My little brother kept his eyes glued to his plate. My sister didn't speak at all. My mom was trying to act normal, but her hands trembled as she picked up the dishes. The storm outside echoed the storm inside our home. My father hadn't come home yet. That in itself was unusual. He always made sure we knew where he was, like some warped form of control. But that night he was late, and none of us knew what that meant. I should have known it was the calm before the final storm. When he came in, soaked and furious, we all knew instantly something was off. His shirt was half unbuttoned and his eyes were wild. There was the smell of alcohol clinging to him like a second skin. My heart dropped. Without a word, he walked into the kitchen, opened a drawer, and slammed it shut again. "Where's my damn watch?" he shouted. "Who the hell touched my things?" We froze. "I'm asking a question," he roared, slamming his fist against the wall so hard a picture frame fell and shattered. "I didn't touch anything," my mom said carefully, her voice small. "You always say that. You think I'm stupid. You're lying, all of you." He turned and pointed at my sister. "Was it you? You little brat? You snooping around again? Don't you dare." I stepped in front of her, shaking with fury. "You're not touching her." His face twisted. "You think you can protect them? You're nothing. You're just a spoiled little piece of shit who thinks he's a man because he grew a pair." And then he lunged. But this time I didn't flinch. I shoved him back with everything I had. My voice cracked with rage. I swear to God, if you lay a hand on any of us again, I will call the police. I will scream so loud, the whole damn neighborhood hears. You want to end up in jail. Try me. He stopped, his eyes locked with mine. And for the first time, I saw fear, not in me, in him, because he realized something. I wasn't the scared kid he could throw words and fists at anymore. I was 17, I had grown, I had rage and clarity, and something he never expected. I wasn't afraid of him anymore. Behind me, my mom stood tall. Her voice was clear. We're done. He stared at her like she'd just slapped him. You don't own us, she said. You never did. And you're not going to break my children. Don't talk to me like that. I'll talk to you however I want, she said. You're a pathetic excuse for a husband and a disgrace to your children. He opened his mouth again, but my sister screamed. It wasn't a scream of fear, it was a release. A broken, aching sound that shattered the room. My little brother started crying too, and suddenly the atmosphere changed. Because in that moment, surrounded by the tears of the innocent, the trembling courage of my mother, and the rage burning in my chest, he wasn't powerful anymore. He was just a man, a weak, bitter man who needed to control others to feel big. And we were done letting him. I pulled out my phone and started dialing. You're either leaving or you're getting arrested. Choose. His face turned pale. You wouldn't dare. Watch me. He didn't say anything after that, just stared at me. At my mother, at the kids, at the family he'd spent years trying to tear apart, and finally realized he no longer controlled. He stormed out. That was the first time he left on our terms. Not for a night, for good. It wasn't easy after that. He tried calling, threatening, even showing up once. But my mom filed a restraining order. I contacted a school counselor who helped connect us with legal aid. Some relatives finally stepped in when they realized we weren't bluffing. There were nights when my mom broke down, unsure if she could really handle it on her own. There were days I missed school to watch my siblings while she filed papers, looked for a job, started rebuilding the shattered pieces of her life. But slowly, things got better. The house is quiet now. Still, but it's a different kind of quiet. The kind that feels safe. My sister started singing again. My little brother sleeps through the night. My mom smiles, even if her eyes still carry shadows. As for me, I'm still angry, still hurt, still healing. But I don't feel helpless anymore. I've learned that sometimes survival isn't quiet or graceful. Sometimes it's messy and loud and fueled by desperation. But it's still survival, and it's still victory. To anyone who's living with someone like my father who feels trapped, invisible, voiceless, I see you. I know what it's like to scream silently, to plan your escape in your head 1,000 times, to dream about peace and wonder if it even exists. It does. But sometimes you have to fight to create it, and that fight may be the most terrifying, painful thing you'll ever face. But it's worth it. Because no one, no matter how powerful they seem, has the right to ruin your life. Not even your father. If this story moved you or you relate to it, please give this video a like. It really helps. Don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories and updates. Thank you for watching and supporting us.